Thank you so much for taking out the time to talk to us. And the biggest question out of the way first is, can you give us a brief about Hatch? What is this all about?
Yeah, Hatch is basically changing the way people play games on mobile. So what we are doing is we are making gaming as simple and easy as you're listening to music from Spotify, as you're watching movies from Netflix. In a similar fashion, you can now play games on demand instantly, just pressing play from your phone. So Hatch is an app on your phone, which you can play great games on demand from the cloud by streaming.
All right. So when you're talking about streaming, it is just like we've seen recently the launch of Netflix and Amazon Prime in India, where you're not downloading the content, you're just going to have an internet connection and you're just going to hit play. But the difference here is that we're going to be playing games and not watching content. So the first question, of course, comes about is the latency, because you're connecting to the cloud, right? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. So latency is very critical for the great experience. Of course, that's probably one reason why this on-demand streaming model hasn't happened with games yet, because games are two-way real-time experiences. There's no room for buffering or any kind of waiting. And that's why it's been a challenge. And we took a very different approach to the technological solution behind the game streaming. So we are not using video-based streaming, which is a very high bandwidth, high latency way to do it. Instead of, we do a thing we call real-time rendering. So we run the games on the cloud, on the servers, and then we send the rendering commands to your device, and we render in real time the graphics, which basically is way more bandwidth optimized and way more lower latency way to deliver the game streaming experience. And that is why we are able to deliver a great native-like experience over streaming games on mobile device over mobile networks. So it's a totally new way to do it.
Okay.
And that's why we believe that now is the right time to bring the mobile games to the cloud and really making them easily accessible to people over streaming on demand.
All right. Okay, so another thing is that unlike movies which are streamed, they're rendered in a particular resolution and then it goes down to fit the screen size. Another recent innovation has been the notch on phones, which not all apps like Netflix and all have been accustomed to yet. So how are you tackling the problem of different screen sizes with notches, different resolutions? Has that been a hurdle that was something you had to overcome?
Not really, because like explained, we do the rendering real time natively on the device itself. Okay. So that's why we can basically apply the rendering to the exact right screen resolution, what you have on the user's device. And our Hatch application takes care of the scaling for the different aspect ratios or the different type of display resolutions. So it's totally similar technically than the game would be running natively on your phone. Now it's just running on the cloud, but the rendering happens on your device.
All right. So speaking of data consumption, when you're playing these games, what is the amount of data that is going to be consumed, since 4G connectivity in India is limited to people who have 1 or 2 GB access per day, right?
Exactly. So that's why the Hatch low bandwidth technology is super critical to get it right and get it widely accessible to mass market audiences. So currently the game streaming on Hatch is around 200 kilobytes per second on average, the bandwidth requirement, okay. Which is significantly less than what you have in kind of Netflix type of or PlayStation Now type of video streaming based solutions, which can easily take up to 1 to 2 megabytes per second bandwidth. Okay. So this is clearly less of traffic. So on average, I could say that if you play for 1 hour on Hatch, it's roughly 1.5 gigabyte of data what you consume.
Okay.
And kind of what we are looking our soft launch markets in Europe, for example, typical user is playing roughly half an hour a day.
Okay.
So it's kind of a few hundreds of megabytes of data what you are consuming on day if you really play games over the internet on Hatch.
All right, absolutely. Okay, now another thing that happens is there's a lot of times you face a little bit of a network drop. So how important is the absolute strength of the connection, or is there a little bit of so-called buffering that happens if you lose network for a couple of minutes on a drive, let's say, or will that hamper the experience?
Yeah, naturally Hatch is an online service. So if you lose your network connectivity, so you can't continue playing games. So, but that's something that that we are seeing very positively that in many markets, of course, we are now starting in Western European markets where network quality is already kind of at a good level. So we don't see that as a key issue, especially kind of the audiences we are targeting with Hatch are very used to spending time with online services, and they know how to kind of deal with situation when you lose connectivity. We are able to adjust for some kind of small kind of disruptions in the network connection. It doesn't automatically cut away, but of course online service you need connection to play with games with.
Absolutely. Okay, coming to the games that are available on Hatch, could you elaborate on the library, the genres of games, the types of games that will be available?
Yeah, so from the very beginning we set our content strategy as a very critical part of the whole effort, and we from the very beginning we wanted to bring the best brands, the best IPs, the best games to Hatch. And one of the key aspects of our content library is that all the games on the Hatch service are so-called premium games, pay-to-download games. So we don't bring any freemium, free-to-play games to Hatch. We want to provide this kind of totally unlimited fun experience with great games, with no paywalls, with no disruptions for our users, so they can enjoy high-quality, amazing gaming experiences without worrying about that now I need to pay something or I need to kind of wait for an hour or so to kind of get forward. So we just want to have people enjoying great time with great games. And we have had an amazing support from the industry to bring the best brands and the games to the service. So already now during the soft launch, we've already signed deals with 110 companies internationally. Some of the big studios like Ubisoft, Sega, Bandai Namco, Gung Ho are already on board. But at the same time, we also wanted to bring a lot of more exciting indies, maybe a bit kind of less known studios, so that our users can not only find their kind of usual suspects from the service, but they can also discover a lot of great, amazing new games they probably haven't seen or heard before at all. So, and really the core of the content strategy for us is to have a highly curated, high quality collection of games, so that our users can trust that every game they find on Hatch will be a top-notch, high-quality experience for them to enjoy. And of course, trying games is very easy. You just press play and the game starts. If you don't like the game, you move on. There's no downloads, there are no installations. You don't need to worry about the storage space on your device. So we actually believe that this on-demand paradigm will totally change the way people actually try out new games, and actually the number of games people end up playing can increase significantly, because there are no kind of limitations or boundaries for playing like 20 games a day. It's super easy.
So considering you have a really large library, and like you said, a lot of paid games are going to be a part of the system, is it possible that if someone really likes a game and they want to have the ability to play it offline, they can get it at an exclusive discount? Or are there any such plans that you have currently or in the future?
No, not currently. So we are really focusing on perfecting this kind of on-demand streaming-based gameplay experience. And of course, the whole technology has been built with the streaming experience in mind. Right. At the same time, also, we don't want to create Hatch to become an app store. Yeah. We truly believe that the future is streaming. People shouldn't have any reason to kind of download games to their phones in the long run. Right. And of course, if there's a game what you really love to play, even if you don't have network connectivity, like in a flight, for example, then of course you can go and download the game from the App Store and have it offline on your device. So we don't see that Hatch is something that that everybody will kind of be playing games over streaming going forward. It will coexist between the current App Store-driven model. So we are not competing with the App Stores. We are kind of extending the market by addressing the mass market audiences, kind of more casual gaming audience who don't necessarily play that much today, by making gaming much more easier and accessible with this streaming on-demand model. We believe we can actually extend the whole audience that can enjoy great games instead of trying to start competing with the current market conditions.
So even despite you not wanting to compete with the current market situation where you have freemium games or paid games or just absolutely free games, do you think a strategy like getting any exclusives on board, or like how Microsoft has done with their Game Pass, like if an Xbox exclusive launches, it's available on Game Pass subscribers on day one. So any such enticing plans that you have to offer consumers in the future so that they come to the platform?
Yeah, so like I said, so content is king, and that's why we put a very, very strong focus on getting the best games onto the platform. And we see the kind of the content strategy evolving in a few phases. The current phase where we are now is that we are now tapping onto the existing pool of amazing games out there, existing amazing premium games that most of our target audience has never tried. As you know, that a very short, kind of small percentage of all the gamers have ever paid to download a game. So basically all the premium games have never been played by the huge majority of the audience. So we can now tap onto the existing premium games out there, the beautiful, visually creative and amazing experiences, and bring those to the audience that have never seen them before. And there's so many of those games that, you know, we have plenty to start with.
Yeah.
Then the second phase will be that since Hatch will bring a lot of new capabilities to the gameplay. Like for example, we are building a very rich social layer of experience on top of the core gameplay. Like you can invite your friends into your game, you can share your kind of things with your friends, you can do a lot of things together instead of playing alone.
All right.
So we see that the second phase will be probably that into this some of these existing premium games what we potentially have already on the platform. We work with the developers to bring these additional special social features to enhance the gameplay experience even to the next level.
Okay.
And maybe in the later stages, like you suggested, start targeting bringing totally exclusive new games to the platform might be the right strategy. A bit like what Netflix has been doing very successfully, creating this original content. But at least for the time being, we don't see that's the main thing to focus on. The key thing is now to create this totally new way of seamlessly enjoy great games on demand over streaming, building the existing amazing pool of games out there. And we think that that's a great start already, at least for the first phases of our service.
All right. So just like Netflix has some content, that fresh content comes every month, and then some content leaves Netflix also every month. Is that a similar model that you will have?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So like I said, that we have a very curated strategy for the content. We want to provide an amazing collection of great games to our users. And of course, an important part of that will be that we are able to refresh the collection continuously. So already now during the soft launch phase, what we are now in Europe, so we are bringing like a few games every second week or so to the service, so that we can keep this kind of intriguingly excitement going on with our users. And there's always pretty much something new to find and try out. Today, I think we have a bit more than 100 games live in the European soft launch. And we really envision to have a kind of a limited pool of games even in the long run. So probably rather hundreds than thousands of games. Because at least personally, one of my biggest pain points in today's App Store driven world is that it's very difficult to find new games to play because there's way too many things. So there's thousands and thousands of games coming to App Stores every day. And it's very difficult to kind of figure out that, okay, which one should I download? We believe that kind of with this kind of very kind of quality-driven curation, we can really suggest great games for people to try out. Plus the social element, that when you start creating your own network of friends and fellow gamers inside the Hatch service, you can also start seeing that, okay, what games my friends are playing, what games they are having fun with. What kind of fun videos they've been sharing from the games they are playing, and this kind of social recommendation becomes a key driver for me as well to try new games and find new games. Right. And we believe that this curation plus the social element will significantly help and improve these discovery challenges for people to find new, amazing, fun games to play and try.
All right. So coming to the most important question of them all is pricing and availability. When will people be able to download this and play it on their phones?
So we are today now in open beta, through the Google Play Store in Europe, across 18 countries.
Okay.
So basically the whole northern and western and west-southern markets in Europe are already having access to the service as an open beta version. We have today in the open beta phase an advertising monetization as a kind of monetization model. So it's kind of free to download service and then we monetize with advertising.
Okay.
But all the ads take place within the Hatch UI, the Hatch service.
Okay.
When you press play to start a game, there will be a video interstitial, kind of pre-roll video ad.
Okay.
After that, the game will start and there will be no ads anymore in the game. So the gameplay is totally ads-free, beautiful premium experience. You can enjoy the game exactly as the developer has wanted the game to be experienced without any interruptions.
Okay.
And then when you return back to the Hatch app and you look for the new game, you again see ads embedded in the user interface, and then you start a new game, there's a new pre-roll video come. So that's the monetization model today. But we also are planning to bring a paid subscription option in kind of to coexist with the free with ads version. And for the premium version, we see, of course, that the kind of there will be a market of people who want to pay for the convenience to get rid of all the ads, to have a totally premium ads-free experience on demand with great games. And we are also planning to have some exclusive features and some exclusive content available to the paying users only.
Okay.
So it's a bit like the Spotify model to have the free version with ad monetization, and then you have the paid premium version. And of course, that will probably depend on the market, that which will be more successful and how to price the premium version correctly to kind of have the sweet spot from the market penetration perspective.
So what about India then? When are you launching in India, and with which model or both models?
Yeah, so currently our focus is on Europe. So that's where we started, that's where we are now soft launching the product, and it's a perfect market for us to get everything right and perfect the whole experience and get the KPIs to the level that we know that, okay, now it works, it's great, people love it. And then the next step will be then to start rolling out the service globally. And we see India as a very exciting opportunity as one of the next wave markets after the Europe launch has happened, for a couple of reasons. So of course, huge market, of course, getting a lot of users to a new service is always important. Secondly, the mobile data explosion in Indian market is phenomenal. I come from Finland, where people are consuming basically close to 10 gigabytes of data every month. I think India is already a few gigabytes already on average, which is a huge amount of data. So, and what I've seen here in India is that the abundance of data available for you to consume has really led to this kind of paradigm shift from side loading and download based consumption models to the on-demand streaming-based services take up very rapidly in the market. And that's why I believe that game streaming service would have a perfect fit in the already happening consumer behavioral change in the Indian market as well. And then of course, currently we are running the service on Android devices. Of course, we plan to bring the service to other platforms as well. But of course, the fact that India is a big Android market now in the very first stages, it will be very easy for us to address the Indian consumers and bring the service here. No timeline set in kind of stone yet, but we are now actively evaluating the service technical functioning in the Indian market. We have one test data center now operational in Chennai. So we are already now able to test the service here in India, and we have this kind of closed internal testing ongoing to verify that how does the Indian network environment and the network quality can support, how can that support a service like Hatch. And of course, as soon as we can validate that, that yes, everything works, everything is great, we can start preparing for the concrete launch planning, that how and in which fashion we should bring then Hatch to the Indian consumers. So as soon as possible and when it makes sense.
Absolutely. Anything else you think that you would like to talk about Hatch that I may not have asked in one of my questions?
Well, one of the key things always when you launch a new service is that you need to tailor the service to the local needs. And for that one as well, we see that we don't want to develop something in Europe and then bring the one-size-fits model to India or to China or wherever. But we really see it important that we really custom made and tailor made the overall experience for the local needs and the local preferences. And that's the other aspect we are doing at the moment. And in addition to validating the technical performance and the network side of things, that how can it technically function here, we are now trying to also understand that what's the right business model in the Indian market, and who could be the right partners for us maybe to partner to really break through in the market in the most accelerated fashion. So that's the other part where we want to put a lot of effort and thinking to get it right in the get-go, instead of just throwing something and see if it sticks, and if it doesn't, then you start to tweak it. So we don't want to rush to any market with a premature offering or premature kind of product proposition, but kind of go in step-by-step approach. So now we start in the Western markets. Let's get it right there first, get a lot of learnings. But then, of course, probably at some point we start doing some kind of consumer piloting or testing in India as well, to understand, okay, how does the current product resonate in this market? How do the current features resonate with the current Indian consumers? And if there's need to tweak or change something, we rather want to kind of do it upfront before we launch it than kind of learn it the hard way that there was something totally wrong with the overall proposition. So that's maybe one additional thing to talk about here, that that understanding the local Indian market and have a service in place then to offer that the users here can really love and get keen on.
And that would also include talking to Indian app developers and seeing if they would like to come aboard with their games and services on your platform.
Exactly. So of course, gaming, especially mobile gaming market, but gaming overall, is a very international business. So that and of course Apple and Google have really made it so simple that if you launch a game, you can make it available globally within the same day, which has meant that basically the user preferences and appetite for games are pretty kind of universal. However, of course, you always see that there are some local special things that get popular and hot, and that is something that we want to address as well. Of course, just by bringing our international game collection to India is a super exciting and kind of big thing in itself. But absolutely, so we want to find the right partners in the content front as well, and especially if there are some Indian developers or game publishers who think that this might be an exciting new revenue avenue and business avenue for the future. We definitely want to discuss and explore that. What would it take to bring some of those games to the service as well?
Absolutely. So those are all the questions that I had. Thank you very much.